Okay, back with the 3080 Ti with the 9800X 3D combo on Monster Hunter Wilds, and this time on the full release of the game with 64 GB of 6000 MHz memory and the latest driver, the 572.60 by NVIDIA. And yeah, let's get into the game. Okay, we're starting it off on DLSS balanced high settings on 4K. So this was the default settings that the game gave me when I opened it up on the system. So let's see what we got with these settings. You can see the VRAM usage in the game that it says it's 6.10 GB, right? But in the actual MSI Afterburn overlay, you can see it's over 10 gigabytes. So I don't know if the game's inbuilt system is broken or bugged. I mean, everything else seems to be broken in this game. Thankfully, I haven't had a crash yet. I don't know how many of you guys have had crashes on startup or during shader compilation or during the gameplay, but thankfully for me that is the only thing that hasn't happened yet. No crashes, but the performance is absolutely terrible on all the systems that I tested it on. And here you can see it's not even hitting 60 FPS on DLSS balanced high. Even though we're not using 12 GB of VRAM, it's just below 11 gigabytes. So now let's move on to the same settings, but with FSR 3.1 quality and frame generation turned on, just to see if we can hit those 60 FPS mark. We are indeed able to get 60 FPS. We're getting like 80 FPS. But while playing the game, I immediately noticed an input delay. So yeah, because it's actually rendering from 40 something FPS to 60, 70 FPS. So yeah, there's going to be delay. You will actually feel it. I did feel it when I was turning my analog stick, rotating it left and right. So yeah, I could feel it. So I wanted to test it out to see how much of a performance loss or latency delay we are getting by enabling the NVIDIA's latency calculator. But for some reason it was not applicable in this game. I tried a couple times, but it was not working. Tried restarting the game, didn't help. So I was like, I gave up on it. I just couldn't show you how much of a delay it is from the actual native settings to the frame generation settings, because it just wouldn't let me. Come on, NVIDIA, the hell is wrong with your app? Or I don't know if it was just this game, because it was working fine in Cyberpunk and other games. Maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, I couldn't turn it on, and there's that one. But yeah, we can hit 60 FPS or more with frame gen turned on 4K, but it feels so bad. It looks bad, and so it also feels so bad, so there's no point. Moving on to DLSS performance medium without any frame generation or anything, just to see if we can hit 60 FPS. So from the performance mode basically means it's 1080p, so it's upscaling from 1080p to 4K, and you are still not able to get 60 FPS in this area. There you go. Excellent. And just keep in mind, guys, the same system was able to do very high settings, 60 FPS with DLSS quality on Spider-Man 2. That game is also kind of a mass optimized game, but still it was able to hit 60 FPS. And it looks way better too, compared to this game. This game's textures are a messy piece of shit. And people who are defending this looks good, please go and play some other games that actually look good. There's something wrong with your eyes. Even on 4K, I could see a lot of issues with this game. The textures being blurry, it's a hot mess. And yeah, we can hit 60 FPS, but not all the time. See, it just drops to 59. So it's not gonna stay above 60 FPS. Yeah, which is a disappointment. You guys already know that. Okay, let's actually try it on 1440p with the same settings. So now it's actually rendering from 720p instead of 1080p. And we are able to get 60 something FPS right there. It is gonna drop below 60 right there. You see that? Yeah, even on 720p settings, the game drops below 60 FPS. And this is not even a big monster, it's just a frog. And it's dropping down to the 50s. See that? And using only about 7 gigabytes of video memory. And this is the performance we're getting. So if this game was actually optimized, we should be looking at somewhere around 150 FPS on these settings on a game like this. Okay, now let's move on to a native DLAA on ultra settings and see how much of an FPS we can get. And of course, it's gonna drop below 40 or 50 FPS, and that's exactly what we're seeing right here, 48 and 54. So the inside area, inside the cave area, where it's not actually that intensive, we're still getting only 50s, or you know what, never mind, it's about the same performance. Yeah, it looks a little bit more crispier because it's native 1440p, not upscaled from 720p. But that's about it. Doesn't change any texture quality or anything. Same thing. Now let's move on to native low settings and not DLAA, and see how that is. So we are getting absolutely trash visuals once again. This game looks trash on any setting, doesn't matter what you're playing it on, and we are still barely getting 60 FPS, guys. This is the lowest settings possible. Maybe not, it's low settings, but still, look how terrible it looks. No shadows, nothing. And we are barely getting any improvement over, DLAA. Such a shame. Okay, moving on to 1080p now on DLSS DLAA ultra settings. And see if we can hit 60 FPS on 1080p, guys. I'm not asking too much. And it's a 3080 Ti. It's not that old, and it's a pretty high-end GPU. Okay, it was like $1,200 on release day. Still a really capable GPU running games on 4K even. Okay, we are able to get 60 FPS finally on ultra settings. 1080p is where you have to go to get 60 FPS, but it's gonna still drop below 60 FPS, like you can see here. It barely manages to see it drop right there. So if it's barely managing to get 60 FPS inside the cave area, it's gonna definitely drop down below 60 outside in the open area. We are using about 9 GB of VRAM. So even on 1080p, 3080 Ti with the 9800X3D is not able to get consistent 60 FPS. Terrible. Just like I said, in the open area outside, we are getting below 50 FPS. Wonderful, guys. Really wonderful. This game is the epitome of a non-optimized trash. You guys already know that. You guys probably observed it or experienced it by now. Within the past 2 to 3 days, how bad this game is optimized. But yeah, you can see it with your own eyes how bad it is on a pretty beefy system. Okay, now on FSR 3.1 quality with FrameGen on ultra settings, we are able to get over 100 FPS, and it's not gonna look pretty, guys, because FrameGen is on, and even though the input delay is not as bad as it was on 4K, you guys can see the artifacting and stuff on the bottom of the screen when you move around. That's not pleasing to the eyes, and I can immediately notice it, and it just takes away my experience. I don't know, guys. I don't know about you guys, but yeah, I can't deal with that. And the game doesn't look good either, because it's 720p with FrameGen on, and it looks really bad. And this is what's probably like, the guys in the comment section be getting. Oh, my game runs perfectly fine on such and such systems. and not experiencing anything else, but this is what they're playing it on. Probably. I don't think everybody has a 5090 to play this game on 60 FPS maxed out. And now for the final test on FSR 3.1 Ultra Performance FG on lowest settings. So this is the maximum lowest settings you can go on 1080p right here. So this is basically upscaling from what, 480p or something, or 540p, and we are able to get 145 FPS experience, high refresh rate experience, if you absolutely cranked everything down to the lowest. And 0.1% lows are not looking that great either. It's just 82, which is not terrible, but you know, we're playing on 540p, guys. Let's be honest. Are these ideal numbers? Hell no. And we're still using 7 GB of VRAM for these settings. Like, why? Capcom, what? Why? Why did you do this? Stop being fucking lazy and do a better job. Get a better engine, or ask your software team to just update the engine and make it better. Optimize it. Optimize your goddamn games. Don't let PC gamers suffer like this. Like, I mean, you know what? It's just pointless because they earned $100 million in one day just from Steam. So I don't expect too much from these guys at all. So there you have it, guys. That's it. 3080 Ti Monster Hunter Wilds with the 9800X 3D. Leave your thoughts down in the comments below. What you guys think about this? I know a lot of you guys are pissed about it, but you know, it's what it is. I hope they can fix it. I heavily doubt so, but we can only hope as consumers after paying $70. But yeah, guys, hope you guys are having a great day. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.